Hey, oh, there we go. Now we're live. Hello, beasties, if you're out there. What's going on, guys?
Are you sure we're live? It still
Yeah,
says I'm off air.
it should be.
There, it's live. Shit just got real.
Mm-hmm. Welcome to the internet.
It's a scary place.
Okay. Oh, hi, guys. Carrie, of course. And look, I've got Josh at Edgework. Everybody know Josh?
If you don't, I'm kind of a shit talker and a troll, so you'll run into me eventually.
Yeah, he's a shitlord. One of the shitlord monkeys. So, let's see. Who wants to admin?
First person to PayPal carry $1 gets admin.
Fuck that. 20.
20. Oh, she's raising the stakes here.
Mm-hmm. 20 bucks. 20, 20, 20, 20. Anybody wants my PayPal link, I'll send it to you.
I was only kidding. I didn't know you had a PayPal.
Of course I have a PayPal. Everybody has a PayPal.
I don't.
No?
Nope.
You're younger than I am. You're supposed to.
Says who?
Says Popular Society.
I had a PayPal for exactly 1 week so I could buy something off of eBay, and then I closed it.
Yeah, that's usually what people do. I don't remember. I opened mine to make donations to the little animal charities and stuff that I support.
See, I don't have money, so I don't have that problem.
Well, I don't, but you make those like one-time donations so you can
Sure.
feel like you've made a difference and like bought cat food for a shelter that specializes in cats that is eventually going to adopt them out to crazy cat ladies. So basically, I'm donating and contributing to the problem of crazy cat ladies. Fantastic.
No comment.
Down the crazy cat lady hole we go. So, Joshua, you are aware of what's been going on, obviously, online.
I've been following it as best as I can, yeah.
Yeah. And the confusion and the controversy about having anonymity online.
Yeah.
And that's a pretty loaded statement in my opinion, and I think in your opinion as well, because we have talked at length about this. But it's the anonymity thing. People have a pretty strong sense of security when it comes to that, when actually it's just the opposite.
Oh yeah, you are really not secure or anonymous. It takes a lot of effort to actually maintain any of that. And just because you flag your Twitter profile as protected doesn't mean that you're really anonymous. As an example.
What was is it Google or was it Twitter? Because you put out a tweet the other day on Twitter, and it was addressing the whole how Twitter does protect your privacy, or was it Facebook that you were talking about? You can adjust your privacy settings.
They both give you some control over your audiences. Twitter is a lot more, you're either protected or you're public, and that's in your terms of service. So if you read through that, it's like 40 pages long. You really should. But pretty much everything that you upload onto Twitter is public domain.
Okay.
Facebook gives you a lot more control over your individual posts, and that includes your photos, your videos, all of that. You have settings for controlling who is allowed to see that. And the default settings when you create a new Facebook profile are completely public. Everything is open domain. Anybody can see it. It'll show up in Google search history, Yahoo. Anybody that crawls the internet can see your profile, your posts, the works, and that's in your terms of service. The onus is on you to control your audience.
Okay. And see, I knew that already because most of my stuff is set to public. I mean, there are a few details that I do keep to myself, but say like my birthday or what city or town I've lived in at certain times. I mean, I know I have shared that before, and I know it's out there. So, but that's my fault. That's completely my fault.
Right. The vast majority of what I do on Facebook is just sharing photos of my kid with family. So most of that is set to friends only. I do occasionally share Donald Trump memes, and those are public. I find them hilarious, and it triggers the right people. So I do it for giggles.
Yeah. Well, I try to stay as open as possible, and I do that because I really just don't have anything to hide, or really to protect. I mean, there are certain aspects of my life, of course, but I mean, I'm not up to anything nefarious, and I do get the whole thing with people who do need that protection, that little bit of that veil, so they can speak their mind and get their ideas out there. But it seems like myself and yourself included, since we're not anonymous, it seems like we're catching more of the heat lately because we are anonymous and we are not anonymous, and we put our faces out there and our names, and we're not allowed to toot our own horns for that. And
well, there's the thing that really drives me crazy about these people who are trying to make this my anonymity argument is they don't make that nuance or that distinction that you can see in behavior in how people are using their online presence. There is a difference between someone who faces serious harm or jail time for political dissent and some anonymous 14-year-old in a sleepy burg in the UK who's just shitposting about somebody on the internet and trying to hide behind their anonymity specifically to get other people to dogpile onto this person they don't like. There's a difference in that behavior, and we can see that in the way they approach their internet usage and the way their presence affects other people around them. We can see that difference behaviorally. It's not, oh, you should always be having a right to be anonymous. No, if you're being an absolute shit stain on the internet, you deserve to at least have your name associated with these opinions that you're making. And no, you shouldn't be punished for those opinions, but people should know who you are when you're being that kind of a reprehensible piece of shit.
Yeah, I mean, that I see it as equal to if I was to take my face off of any of my social media and then approach someone who is making a point at the same time, but they're only making that point to try and make some sort of a difference in, let's say, racial issues that are going on. They're talking about it, and then I take my face away, and then I approach that person and say something that isn't offensive, but it is wrong, and they confront me with that and say, well, what color are you, or whatever, or they try to ask me, well, what gives you the authority to say something like that? And by the way, you're wrong. And I go, no, I'm not. I have this authority, I have that authority, and I can't, or this evidence or that evidence, and I don't have that to hand to them. Then of course I should be held responsible for what I said, even if it wasn't offensive, even if it wasn't a slur, if it was simply just wrong. But I was adamant about it, and it was arguing against the point that the other person is making and kind of making them seem a little bit, I don't know, wrong in their opinion or their fact or their study, or so even if somebody is coming at you and just slandering you or just throwing a slur at you just simply because, I mean, I see it as similar to if I was to go at somebody facelessly and do it with intelligence and with tact, but I was completely wrong. And I pushed the issue, and they wanted to say, well, who the hell are you? And I'd be like, it doesn't matter who I am. What I say is right. And I have this and I have that, but I don't.
Right. So and there is, so a lot of people like to say that your arguments should stand on their own merit and who you are really shouldn't matter. But that's not entirely true. There are situations where your identity and your expertise in association with that identity are absolutely relevant to your opinions. For example,
Yeah,
if you have a neurosurgeon talking about brain surgery, that is absolutely relevant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That gives them authority to speak with the conviction that they have. They're not some idiot who read a quick Google page and decided, okay, this is the way it works.
And that's usually what you're confronted with.
Right.
Is you get these little twits that think they know everything just because they have access to Google and they have access to the internet, whenever they don't.
This has been thrown around a lot, but Dunning-Kruger, where you aren't quite experienced enough in the thing that you're talking about to understand how much you don't know about what you're talking.
Right. I don't have a problem if I try to make this as clear as possible that if I do say something or tweet something, communicate something that is wrong or completely off base, then I want to be corrected.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. That's the only honest intellectual position to have.
Yeah, I'm not too proud to say, oh shit. I mean, just recently I tweeted out a picture to this freaking anti-feminist bitch claiming oppression in the United States, and I was like, oh yeah, so I sent her a picture of women being oppressed in the Middle East. And one of the pictures that I tweeted out was a propaganda piece, and I did not realize that. So one of my Twitter followers, who happens to be an ex-Muslim, he pointed it out. He was like, by the way, this picture came from this place. He cited it, sent me to the website where it came from and everything, and showed me how wrong I was. And I thanked him for it. And I adjusted it, and I apologized to the anti-feminist, and then I sent her another horrifying picture that was actually real. So I mean, I'm not too proud. I actually like to learn things, and I like to learn from my mistakes. I mean, there's no problem in that.
When I'm talking to that particular crowd of the internet, I like to pull out the photos of Middle Eastern men who are leading their wives in chains to walk their lives.
Oh yeah.
Those are. Yeah, it's one of those things that you have to laugh at because it's horrible, absolutely horrible.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that at all. I mean, it's usually I do that one, or I'll do usually like a stoning.
Yeah,
those are usually pretty horrific, or like a lineup of all the babies that ISIS has killed, all the male babies that ISIS has killed.
I think it was I think I heard Leica talking about this a couple of weeks ago. It might have been when she was talking to Tyler. Just the difference in how men and women are stoned over there. I mean, men are buried to their waist and women are buried to their neck. And if you can get out, you're off scot-free. If you can't, you get stoned to death. That's one of those things where you point out, and yeah, I don't know where I'm going with this.
No, it's fun. It's fun, dude. No, I know it's horrific. It's just, oh God. I have to balance my time between gathering those types of images to put out in content, and then going into YouTube and turning on a funny kitty video and just trying to laugh as hard as possible to erase the horrible from my brain.
My pressure release is finding the nightmare fuel in kids' movies.
Oh yeah?
Oh yeah, I love finding really horrible things that you don't notice in a kid's movie as a kid. For example, I mean, The Hunchback of Notre Dame is probably my favorite Disney movie. But if you actually watch Hellfire, that is absolutely nightmare fuel, from the imagery to the lyrics to what's actually being set up for the rest of the movie. It's absolutely nightmare fuel.
Yeah. That's like Anastasia, you know, Disney's Anastasia.
I love Anastasia too. That's the other movie I like to point out.
She's the forgotten princess.
Mm-hmm.
Disney refuses to recognize that poor redheaded bitch. I mean, really, and it makes me so mad because she's an awesome princess.
Was Anastasia Disney? I wasn't sure that Anastasia
was
Disney.
Yes, it's Disney. But the bad guy in that movie,
Christopher Lloyd Rasputin. Yes.
Yes. That guy and his little bat friend and all his body parts. Yes, his little body parts and stuff falling off at random times and stuff. That horrified me as a child.
Oh, well,
But
me too. But I loved it.
The movie.
I think the whole necrosis of that movie is why Disney won't officially embrace it. The same thing behind Song of the South, which is absolutely the most racially charged. It's actually absolutely the most racially charged movie, including Dumbo, that Disney has ever produced, and they to this day do not acknowledge that they made Song of the South.
That's crazy.
It's never been re-released. I have a copy on Betamax. It is.
That's one of my mom's favorite movies, actually. And I remember when I was a kid, she would look for it like at Blockbuster or. Okay, kids, if you don't know what Blockbuster is, it's where we used to go and pick up our movies to take them home and watch them before Redbox and before Netflix.
I still have my Blockbuster membership card somewhere.
I used to have one on a keyring, but I think it rotted off eventually.
The one that was on my keyring rotted off, but I still have my laminated actual membership card somewhere.
Oh God, I never ever kept track of those things. Never, I always lost them. Okay, since I did just touch on the whole generational thing with the Blockbuster reference, so what say you about the behaviors of our fellow secular community whenever it comes to the ageist thing about the internet and the false sense of security, or they expect to have a safe space?
Well, a lot of it just comes from a lack of knowledge and expertise with how the internet actually functions. But then there's also that age difference. And I think I'm really close to that cutoff of kids who grew up in a time as kids before everything you do was documented online. Mm-hmm. I'm really close to that cutoff, and I'm only 30. But
I'm 30. I'm 34, and the other day we were talking about that age range. And can you remind me what you were talking about, like when 9/11 happened? Do you remember that conversation?
My perspective on this: if you were effectively a functioning adult when 9/11 happened, you have a completely different perspective of the internet from everybody else.
Why do you say that?
Well, I mean, again, it's kind of that age difference that we're looking at here. But people who were, say, in high school when 9/11 happened, you grew up in a time where you went outside, you played at recess, you probably played dodgeball. I loved dodgeball. You're not allowed to play dodgeball in school anymore.
Yeah,
it's too violent. I would walk to my babysitter about a mile without adult supervision. I could walk to a park around a mile away without adult supervision, and nobody would get in trouble. I was the latchkey kid. I had the key, so when my bus dropped me off from school at the end of the day, I could get in the house.
Yeah.
And my parents wouldn't come home for 2 or 3 hours after that. But that doesn't happen anymore.
Right.
You have this generation of kids who have been coddled by helicopter parenting.
There you go. That's what I was about to say. It's helicopter parenting. Now, do you know where the shift was that I noticed, in my opinion? The shift.
It started with the Code Adam, when I think it was Adam Walsh was kidnapped in the late 80s, and that's when all of this, we have to think of the children, safety Nazism started.
Right.
That I think is the genesis of this whole movement to insulate our kids, pack them with packing peanuts, wrap them in a bubble, and make sure nothing ever touches them or hurts them.
And cover them in antibacterial hand sanitizer.
Oh yeah.
Don't forget about that. That's where all the damn superbugs are coming from. Oh shit, we're going into conspiracy theories shit now.
Well, no, that actually isn't untrue.
I know.
Our society's overuse of antibiotics has resulted in antibiotic-resistant superbugs.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yep, I know. I know there's a little bit of science behind the whole antibacterial hand crap. It's like it gets rid of it gets rid of the majority of the bacteria, but the majority of the bacteria that it gets rid of is the good stuff that you need to ingest to get into your small and large intestine, so that way your intestines can function properly.
Right. It gets rid of the good gut flora, and
right, and
it leaves that
people fat. So antibacterial hand gel is making people fat.
Well, I would say overeating and underwalking is making people fat.
That too, but it starts with the hand sanitizer.
I say it starts with a McDonald's. Put down the double baconator. God damn it.
We will agree to disagree then, my friend. Okay, so let me circle back around because we're getting distracted as usual.
I know. I'm everywhere at the same time. I get it.
I know. It's like a live private chat, but we're speaking instead of texting. So okay, let's go back to that whole generation thing. So there's a certain cutoff, and what do you think that cutoff is with the age difference and people being comfortable with the internet or thinking the internet owes them something? What do you think?
Well, I would say that people who are right around 30 right now have a different expectation of their online preference or presence. People who are around 30 and older. And you really see this more and more with people who are in their late 30s, early 40s, all the way up until, grandpa using his computer, has no expectation that anything that he does online is not him personally acting as an agent for himself. He's got a one-to-one relationship between his online identity and his in-life identity, and he has no expectation of privacy or anonymity of any kind.
Yeah.
People who are younger than that, they've grown up with the internet, and that's a good and a bad thing. They're a lot smarter with technology than a lot of us are. They know a lot of interesting things, but they know it from the user perspective and not necessarily from the architecture perspective, and how almost nothing you do on the internet is really completely anonymous. There's just not really a computer system out there that can track all of your behavior, and there's nobody who gives a damn about you. That's the reason you have anonymity. It's because nobody gives a fuck who you are.
Yeah, exactly.
Say your name and nobody gives a shit. They'll move on.
Yeah, and once again, people, of course, we do take into the context that there are people who cannot speak out because of fear of retribution from their governments or people in their communities, neighborhoods, social circles, religious circles. We do understand that. And so we are obviously not talking about those people.
Right.
I don't know. I understand those that need to keep on being anonymous. I do understand that. And there are those people that just choose to be anonymous because it's not that important for them to show their face or state their name. They're just here for the shits and giggles, or maybe to learn something and every once in a while throw in their 2 cents.
There's a difference between being political and anonymous and being a bully and anonymous. And those bully behaviors really should forfeit your anonymity. I totally agree. I'm not talking about, sending Devin Tracy a Donald Trump meme and kind of rubbing his nose in that a little bit just to get him worked up and irritated. I'm talking about things that could actually get you in court for slander and libel law if you did it to a business. Yeah. Yeah. I'm right there with you, buddy. Many people have said already that they don't want real life rules to apply to the rules whenever you're online. And I think that's just the way it should be, like when it comes to common courtesy. Now, I will admit, of course, I do get online and sling shit all on my own, but I don't go out of my way to do it. It's not like I'm trying to bully someone. It's just the internet is just so spectacularly ridiculous that you have to say something a little bit inflammatory every once in a while to get someone's attention. Right. And then that draws them into a conversation. So everybody does have to troll just a little bit. Now, if like earlier today, I unblocked one of my infamous trolls. I'm not going to say his name. And let him have a go at me.
because I know how much he loves a certain person on YouTube that I have spoken with recently, and he wanted to let me know how he felt, and he completely made an ass of himself and gave me quite a bit of good material for future use. So I let him I let him troll a little bit, but we all do troll a little bit, and I don't think I've bullied, but if somebody does come at me and bully me, I will bully back. I will bully back. I will completely turn off that reasoning logic side of my brain that demands civility. I'll turn it off and just give them both barrels.
You match force for force.
Yeah, exactly. If you come at me with intelligence and with a purpose and you really want to talk, I will talk to you. If you come at me with your douchebag on your forehead, then I'm going to return the favor. That's all there is to it.
Yeah, I'm pretty inflammatory and incendiary on a somewhat regular basis when I actually have time to dick around on the internet. And I haven't had as much time lately to do that, but I don't go after somebody for, a week or a month or half a year and just stick on them. I will get my reaction out of them, enjoy my laugh, and move on.
Yeah, the ones that keep coming back are the most fun for me. Because it's like, you hate me, but you are obviously thinking about me more often than you aren't, because here you are again. Hello. Like, thank you for your attentions. It's appreciated. Okay, so, all right, chat. Oh, look, there's a little bastard in the chat right now. Thank you, Cece, for timing him out. I'm sure he was saying some stupid shit.
I'm willing to bet that he has a...
Hang on a second.
Fetish for a Frenchman.
If you guys can hear me, don't block him again. Don't time him out again. Just let him spew his venom. It's actually quite entertaining. You sad, sad little man. You sad little man.
Is this the man who has an obsession with a certain Belgian general?
Yes. I think every single one of us. I think every single one of us has encountered him lately, because he just goes from person to person in the Flat Monkeys. It's like, really, dude? I thought you didn't like us. I thought you didn't like Devin. It's like, what's going on?
I think I got 2 tweets at him. He responded to something that Christiana put up like a month ago, and I replied to something stupid that he said, and then he just immediately blocked me. I'm completely okay with that. I don't want your attention, but I was just... It's normally the really batshit insane psychotic feminists who block you the first time you mention them, and not someone who is coming to have any kind of dialogue with the monkeys.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
They usually don't immediately block you. They want to try and give you rope to hang yourself with. Or at the very least, they're so angry they just want to keep poking at you until you block them.
Yeah. I did block this guy just for the simple fact that he was like crowding my notifications and mentions. So I did block him. But one of his little slimy friends tagged me in a tweet. So I clicked on it, of course, and when I did, he was in there, or she was talking to him, and so I unblocked him so I could see what he was doing. And he was talking shit about the stream that I did with Kraut and all of that crew the other night. So I was like, oh, okay, come on, I know you want to hate. Okay, so Josh,
I haven't watched that hangout yet. I find Kraut really boring and dry, and I don't think I ever will sit down and watch that.
Well, no, it's okay. Yeah, you don't have to. I just went in there and just tried to explain my stance on being non-anonymous, so these guys would eventually have the opportunity to be non-anonymous as well.
Was that on the stream he tried to do with 4chan's/B?
Yes.
Yeah, that's the worst idea in internet history.
Oh, gracious. That's what I'm hearing. I've never done that.
Anything involving 4chan is not a good idea. Let them have their little corner of the internet and do not ever poke them.
Oh, okay. I've heard horrible things about it.
Well, 4chan is a wide collection of very strange and unusual people, and it's very easy to attract the kind of people who will go for the jugular. So you might get the incendiary troll who just wants to make fun of you, or you might end up attracting someone who is actually going to dox the living shit out of you because they do it for fun.
Yep. Okay, you have
Welcome to 4chan.
You have questions in the chat.
Okay.
I know you can't read it, so I will read them to you. Okay, let me scroll down. Okay, the wordsmith asks, Josh, thoughts on the youngins that aren't anonymous and why they are that way?
Good parenting. They've probably been shown a good example of being responsible and accountable from good parenting.
So, as in good parenting, what do you mean? A little bit more specifically.
Parents who let them grow and become more responsible as older, and who don't try to coddle and protect them and keep them from ever getting hurt.
Parents so basically not allowing them to make mistakes and learn from those mistakes at a young age.
Not only letting them make their mistakes and learn from them, but letting them actually deal with the consequences of their actions. Like, my kid broke one of his favorite swords, and I didn't replace the sword. It was done. It was broken. He's not getting a new one. He's only 3, but he's learning. Your consequences do have actions. You break your toys and they don't come back.
Very good.
That kind of stuff. Or okay. If you hit me in the face, you're going to get a timeout. Stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. That's like one of my daughters. Whenever she was little, she has Down syndrome. So you have to teach kids who have disabilities a little bit differently than you do a typical child. I mean, that's obvious. But when she was a baby, she had this nasty little habit of only biting me, because I would hold her and she would tuck her little face into the little corner of my neck and where my shoulder meet. And she wasn't doing it to be mean or nasty, or she was just doing it because, you know, how every once in a while you just see somebody so cute, or you love somebody so much and you're like, oh, I just want to eat you, or I want to bite you, or I want to chew on your cheeks, and that cuteness factor.
I've heard a reason for why you do that, because your brain can't process how adorable it is, and it's just a way of blowing
expressing.
A fuse.
Yes, it's this way of expressing love. And so she would, but with her having Down syndrome, the inside of her mouth is a lot smaller than the proportion of her muscles, like her facial muscles, her jaw muscles, her neck muscles. So everything is smaller. So she has a lot of torque in her bite.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So there is a reason that people say the term retard strong, because there just obviously is. They have a different type of strength than normal individuals who don't have any sort of genetic mutations or anything. So you know what I'm getting at.
And they don't have the same system of socially conditioned restraint either.
Correct. So she would bite me, and my other daughters, they had bit me as well, but they were just testing their limits, and I knew that. So they were handled in a completely different way. But my youngest daughter, she would bite me, and she would bite hard. I mean, and when you get bit hard by somebody, it's an automatic. It's like a knee-jerk reaction. You snatch them away or you push them away. Well, I just kind of assumed that she would kind of grow out of it if I just say, okay, no, ma'am, that's not good, or express really, really clearly on my face with my facial expressions that was not acceptable, because she only spoke with sign language. She was nonverbal until she was 5, so we spoke with American Sign Language. So anyway, but 2-3 years went by and she was still doing it. I was carrying bruises on my shoulder and neck for years. Finally, I got a belly full of it, and she bit me one more good time. And she had just bit her older sister like 3 or 4 days before that on her belly, like just below her belly button, and drew blood. Ooh. So she bit me next, and I bit her back, and she never bit me again.
Sometimes that's what it takes.
Yeah, I mean,
We're just animals.
I put up with it. I put up with it for nearly 3 years. Nearly 3 years. And I took every measure possible, and it just didn't work. So I had to do the very clear, very swift, and it was a little bit brutal. I mean, I obviously didn't leave a bruise or draw blood. It just got her attention, and she never did it again. And I never had to do it again. So what I'm getting at is parents nowadays are afraid to hurt their kids' feelings, to see their kids express any sort of emotion besides happiness or any sort of discomfort. So they just coddle the hell out of them. And it makes life for the rest of us shit.
Your kids will learn by your example.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely true. No doubt about that. Okay, I'm reading the chat again real quick. Hey, look, Mitzi said, my brother was a biter. I had to do the same thing. Yeah, they're making fun of me because I say non-anonymous instead of trying to say anonymity. I can't, because I can't say it. I cannot say it.
Because you can't say anonymity?
I can't do it. I can't.
I think it's because you're from the South. I think there's a little too much inbreeding in your cocktail.
Shut your face. Shut your face.
Hey, I've got redneck in my cocktail.
I'm pretty sure everybody does. It's just like everybody has a black ancestor. Not all of you are white.
All it takes is one drop. We're going by 1880s law here.
Mm-hmm.
We're all black now. Boom. Take that, Gazi Kadzo.
Oh my God. Typical baby eating atheist, Jeff. That was fantastic. Thank you.
That's a good joke. I didn't think of that until
No, me either. They're yummy. Yum 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 yum. No, I'm a soul consuming redhead. Don't forget that. I'm an evil, evil bitch. Okay, so next topic. The shooting in Chicago of the unarmed black teenager, 18-year-old Paul O'Neill.
Remember, he didn't do nothing.
Uh-huh. So, if you're not familiar with what's going on, a young man, an 18-year-old young black man, decided to steal a car, and there was a police chase that ensued. He ran from the police in a car, and he ran at the police with a car. He
tried to plow through a police barricade.
Yep, and the only thing that stopped this young 18-year-old black man from continuing on his chase with the police was another police cruiser that he met head on with the stolen car, the stolen Jaguar that he was driving when he was running from the police. So, as we are all aware, there is some pretty inflamed tensions right now between the police and the black criminal community. Not the black community, but the black criminal community. Let's make that clear. With all the mass murders which happened in Texas, which have happened, it was 2 or 3 that died in Louisiana.
I think it was 3 in Louisiana, 5 in Texas. A couple people have died in, I want to say California, but I'm not sure. There have been police shootings all over.
Yeah, I know. And did you see the pipe bomb thing?
I heard about the pipe bomb thing.
Yeah, I haven't like dug into that, but apparently a police officer's cruiser had a pipe bomb set off on top of it.
What I understand is there was a pipe bomb on the windshield at his home. Someone set off the pipe bomb, but when he got out, thankfully there was nobody there. But there have been a lot of ambushes that have been set up for cops. As I was hearing about this, I was afraid that this was going to end with the cop dying, because I've heard of so many just setups and traps to murder cops.
Yeah, it's absolutely awful. So we've got all that tension going on right now with people killing cops and defending criminals, and it's just absolutely insane. But with that going on, of course the family has come out. This young man was shot by the police. as he was running away. Now, that's where the discussion comes in, and it starts to get a little bit heated because he did not have any sort of a firearm weapon or a blade weapon, but he was in a moving vehicle that he did aim towards police with the intention of running them down to get away from those police so he could continue committing the crime that he was committing. Am I going too far by saying that?
He was attempting to use his vehicle as a weapon because he was not going to be taken in by the cops. That was pretty obvious when he tried to ram through the police barricade, tried to run over several cops. He was not going to be taken in. Same thing that happened with, what was her name? Catherine Goins or Karen Goins or whatever her name is.
Corinne, I think maybe. I don't remember.
Corinne Goins, who used her 5-year-old kid as a meat shield in a police shootout.
Yeah, using a baby as a human shield. Obviously, that woman she was one of those individuals. She wasn't right. Plain and simple. She just was not right in the head. Who uses their baby as a human shield? Who sits there and videos their baby while they're pumping this horrible rhetoric about police officers that are obviously trying to save her life and try to save the baby's life? And she's telling them, what are the police here for? They're here to kill us.
Did you see any of the other Facebook videos of her?
Yes, I did.
There's one where she was at home and she was telling her kid that the police were going to kill them. And in the back of her car, in another video, she was telling him not to get out of the car no matter what. She was being pulled over
fight them
for some traffic violation, and she said, "Fight them! Don't let them take you out of this car, no matter what."
She had a cardboard tag license on the back of her car.
That's what it was. Her car
and she was pulled over for that, and then she pulled out her camera and decided to get belligerent with the cops. That cop was ridiculously patient with her.
I know.
He played that game way too long.
I demand that you identify yourself. You produce. No, that little card, that is not identification. Bitch, get the fuck out of the car. I applaud him for walking away because he identified that she wanted to die. She wanted a suicide by cop.
Yeah, that was obvious. She wanted, and Joe Live Life, he covered that. He said she wanted to be a martyr, and that's what she got. And that is absolutely horrible. It's terrible. What a waste of a life. That was an unnecessary death, but she welcomed it with open arms, and that's what those people promote. And it's absolutely heartbreaking. They're disgusting. Yeah. And they're indoctrinated.
If we kind of wrap this back over to Chicago, I think we're dealing with some similar mindset here. What I've read on just how the thing went down, it looks like that the cops were legally within their rights to open fire. So I agree. I don't think there's going to be anything more than administrative leave issued on some of those cops. It just depends on.
Three officers have already been released. Not exactly sure what the charges or the allegations are against them for why they were released from their duties just yet. I'm still digging into that. Like, I'm actually digging into it right now. So if I
one
find
of the body cams, one of the body cams shows us. Yeah, one of them wasn't on. Another body cam showed as the car was driving by and narrowly avoided crushing one of the cops. The guy wearing the body cam drew his sidearm, and I counted 7 shots, but it might have been more than that. He just opened fire at the car to try and stop it because.
Yeah, I seen that one too. I did see that one as well.
I think what we're seeing happening there is a combination of adrenaline and, oh shit, my partner almost got killed.
Yeah, of course.
They're like cops are like brothers.
I know these news agencies that I've watched cover this story so far. Sky News Live did it, BBC did it, and I've seen 2 other American ones. The CNN, and I don't remember what the other one was. Probably MSNBC, but they're all covering it with this title: "Unarmed Black Teenager, 18-year-old." Shot in the back by police while fleeing. Okay, they say fleeing. Now, fleeing usually means, like, if you're watching a scary movie, you're seeing the pretty girl fleeing from the horrible monster killer, you know?
Right.
So that's usually what you think of whenever somebody uses the word fleeing. Now, this man was not, and he was a man. He was a man. He's 18 years old. He's a man, not a young man. He's a man. Not a very bright man, obviously, but he's still a man.
I saw him jump that fence. There's no way that this was just some scrawny kid. This was a man.
No. So he made the poor decision of doing this, but oh Jesus, I just completely lost my train of thought.
You were talking about fleeing and how he's a man.
Okay, yeah. So he was running away. He was running away from the people who were trying to stop him from the crime and hold him responsible for the crime that he just committed, and
multiple felonies, attempted murder, attempted homicide, and the
violence he was attempting to commit with the vehicle. I mean, seriously, the news agencies, they're just painting this as some kid that was chased down and gunned down in cold-blooded murder. That's not even what it was. He tried to take the lives of these officers, because do people actually think that if these officers hadn't stepped out of the way, that he would have slowed down and just bumped them like bumper cars? Do they actually think that's what was going to happen? I mean, because that wasn't his intent. His intent was to get the hell away from the cops as quickly and as painlessly as possible. And if it meant mowing down police officers, then that was what he was going to do. And that's what he attempted to do. So they opened fire. They met force with force. And they can't be blamed for that.
I agree. I completely agree.
Oh, you little shit. I'm looking at the chat. All right, you're gone, buddy.
Bye-bye, Belgian.
You're gone. He has this obsession with my tits. Like, he really does. And it's just so hilariously ironic because he's called Angry Napoleon. Tiny, tiny little angry man.
You know, Napoleon was actually average size. It was his Swedish guards that were freakishly tall.
Shush it.
He just looked tiny.
Do not correct me.
That's British propaganda you're falling for.
Well, look where I am. Hello. Okay, so a lot of another point that's being brought up, I don't know if you've seen this, is that this specific police department was just given the body cameras 8 days ago. So they're trying to play on, well, would we have ever heard about this story if they hadn't have gotten their body cameras 8 days ago? And it's like, really, people? Do you really think that there is that many police officers, or that big of a percentage of police officers that are running people down in the streets just because they're a certain color or they look a certain way and just gunning them down in cold-blooded murder? Is that the reality that we're living in now?
Apparently. It's all part of this narrative that's being constructed. I mean, this weakness just pisses me off.
Yeah, I know. It's what is their ultimate goal? That's what I want to know. What is the ultimate goal in this entire narrative of, if you're white, you're automatically racist, or if you are not in favor of religion, or a specific religion like Islam, then you're Islamophobic, or you're a bigot, or whatever. I mean, why?
I don't want to talk too much because it's going to end up getting into some tinfoil hat territory here. I try to avoid the speculation in the wild Paul Joseph Watson type government dystopia stuff. He paints a really compelling narrative, but at the same time, if you step back and look at it, some of it is insane.
A lot of it is insane, but we can try to reason this out rationally and logically. If it kind of turns a little bit into tinfoil hat stuff, I mean, then it does. It's just a conversation.
So I have heard, if we're talking specifically about, you know, the Black Lives Matter front here and not dealing with any of the Muslim issues that the rest of the world is dealing with right now, there are a few groups that I've heard and seen in news and stuff like that, where they basically want to set up their own sovereign state inside the US where all of their money stays in their own little state. And they basically create a new little United States inside the United States, specifically for Black people only.
Mm-hmm.
And I look back to the 60s and what Martin Luther King died for.
That's what I was about to say. What is the point in wanting to segregate yourselves off?
They are
is it so they can feel more special or more superior? I mean, really?
I think they have this delusion that if they get rid of all of the white people, all of the problems will go away. And they're just blaming every single issue, every single bad thing that happens in their community on, things that have nothing to do with their community. I've gotten into some of this with my friend who's an animator who's now living somewhere in Western United States. I don't know exactly where, but he has fallen into this. He's absolutely one of the most brilliant people I've ever met. There's a reason he's my best friend, but he falls into a lot of this narrative where, well, slavery happened and we completely eroded the Black family and we brought them over here against their will, and they have no wealth of any kind. And now they're just, 250 years behind the rest of us and just getting started. So we owe them. But that's not exactly true, because most of them were born here, just like the rest of us.
I know.
They're not African Americans. They're just Americans.
Yeah. And see, that's where all the identity politics and things come into play as well. It's everybody they want their own label, even if it's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, what is the list right now when it comes to like gender things? It's like 76 or 78.
If you go to Tumblr, there's over 600.
What? I don't go to Tumblr. My head would implode. I am certain.
It is the cesspool of the internet, and you will question all of your life decisions up to that point.
I've been in Tumblr a couple times to like look at somebody's page that I'm looking into, but I've never stayed and visited. No.
Years ago, I started a blog on Tumblr before all of this crazy shit happened, and I just stopped writing. There was no motive or anything behind it. I just got bored with writing and trying to keep this blog going, and I just abandoned it. And in my wake, all of this insanity and this social justice and LGBTQIA1 P, whatever, however many identities you want to have, all of this came after I left, and I kind of blame myself. I'm sorry, world. I left Tumblr and it turned into a shithole.
It's because you left.
It's because I left. I'm sorry.
You should have never left. If you just stayed and put the hammer down, those crazy bitches would have never took over. Because Tumblr's feminist hell, right?
We can call it that, yeah.
Okay. Like feminist and SJW hell. Well, it's their little heaven, but it's hell for the rest of normal society.
I don't want to really say that it's feminism, because depending on who you talk to, it either is or isn't feminism. It's that part of the feminist world that everybody says, oh, that's not feminism unless you're part of it.
Are you a trans chopper or have you made the transition? I don't even know what that means.
I identify as an Apache attack helicopter.
Oh my God.
My father was a German U-boat. And my mother was Optimus Prime.
That was a dude. How'd you do that?
Tumblr.
You know what really trips me out is the people who fall in love with inanimate objects.
What really trips me up is the people who identify as a character. So their gender identity is a character from a work of fiction. For example, someone who says that their gender is like a cave troll from Lord of the Rings.
You have to be kidding me.
No, I have seriously seen some of this crazy shit. It is the most bizarre stuff you will ever find on Tumblr, and God help you if you find yourself on this part of it.
I get disturbed by the dark corner of YouTube, so.
The difference between Tumblr and YouTube is that nobody is actively banning or suspending people on Tumblr unless you post child porn. That is their line. If you post child porn, you can get banned from Tumblr. Other than that, anything goes.
Ay.
I have seen animated child porn. Someone who has drawn children. They're not actual real people. They're just fictitious drawings on Tumblr. And the accounts haven't been suspended. So take that with a grain of salt. I was not looking for this shit. I found it.
Yeah, I know. Everybody goes through that. You just stumble upon stuff and you're like, what the fuck?
I want to make it clear that I am not sexually attracted to small children.
Yes, we are well aware of that.
I like petite, athletic women in their mid-20s with dark hair.
Duly noted. All right, girls, pay attention. You heard the criteria. Do we need to have that discussion?
No, I don't think so. I'm just trying to distance myself that my ending up in that part of Tumblr was completely a mistake and I should have seen it coming.
Okay, so since we're already on that disturbing topic, what say you about Mr. Yee?
Who, what now?
Mr. Yee, Amos.
Oh God. He's a fag. Nothing good is going to come out of Amos Yee. He's what, in Singapore?
He's going to go to prison. There's no doubt. They need to dig a hole under the prison and put him in it.
You know what? Then he'd be safe. I don't think he's done anything that he should go to jail for. I'm not aware of anything that he's done that he should be in jail for.
Right. I agree.
I want to make that ideological stance and draw that line in the sand.
Yes, I do as well. I mean, you shouldn't go
facing serious jail time for anything that he's ever said.
Right.
That is ideologically wrong.
Right.
But at the same time, he's a shit poster, a shit stirrer, and a child porn advocate. And the fact that anybody seriously entertained that conversation says a lot about our lack of a community.
Yeah, that's not something that can just be brushed off. That is, oh no.
That says a lot about his character to me.
Exactly.
And that says a lot about anybody who would entertain that conversation with him.
Right? It's like, what? I mean, besides morbid curiosity to try to dig into the neuropathy that goes behind that kind of line of thinking, yeah, I can understand that. That's kind of like being curious about what makes a brony tick.
Yeah, but nobody talking to him was a doctor or involved in the medical sciences.
No, they weren't.
These are just random YouTubers. Seriously, what the fuck? Amos fucking Yee.
Okay.
He's a troll, an agitator, and purposely incendiary. That's what I think about him.
Yeah, I see that.
Nothing special.
Trying to get a little bit of more attention to himself, just like try to fan the flames a little bit more than what he already has.
He acts like the 14 and 15-year-old American boys that you see who get online to shitpost for attention.
True.
That's what I read from him.
Okay. Oh, I don't know how to say your name. Liloken? He says Amos Yee had support and blew it. Yes, he nuclear bomb blew it. He was on the Rubin report for shit's sake. I mean,
he nuked it from orbit.
Yeah, he was a little bit silly and a little bit much whenever he was on the Rubin report, but he did get his message out there and everybody had his back. I mean, even myself included. And then all of a sudden he just flipped his shit and it was like, what are you doing? What? I mean, seriously, dude, you had everybody behind you and now it's like everybody's like, yep, nope. That is toxic. What do you gain? I mean, besides notoriety or infamy, what do you gain from that?
I couldn't tell you. It's got to set off some pleasure center in his brain that just reinforces the behavior. But beyond that, I don't know.
Yeah, Destiny just said it has to be a mental illness. I agree, my dear.
It certainly doesn't get you money, and it certainly doesn't get you laid. So I don't know.
I came across a documentary. I think it was this morning or maybe last night. I don't know. The past couple of days are kind of blurred together, but it was about the inner workings of psychopaths and how their brain differs from the typical person and how they all resemble certain behaviors and traits, and the number games between the United States and the UK. It's 1 in 100. It's 1 in every 100 people in the United States are a psychopath, and 1 in every 200 are a psychopath in the UK. So
I've seen that number. I thought the word used was sociopath.
No, it's psychopath, not sociopath. Psychopath. But they made a pretty good definition, and they put them into different categories. One is just your typical psychopath that just can just kill someone, and they just show no empathy, and it doesn't bother them whatsoever. And then there's the other one that shows the same sort of character and behavior traits as a murderous psychopath, but they never harm anyone. They just use those skills to get further in, like, say, their social career or their business career. And it was really interesting to just see the takes from the different therapists and psychologists and psychotherapists, because they put these people in prison and they section off the psychopaths from the general population, and they study them. And this is the only place that they can study them. And it is chilling to see a psychopath talking to a counselor, because they turn on that charm and they almost convince you that they are remorseful, or that they know what they did was bad and that they feel bad for it. And then their eyes just kind of go dead. And it's like, what makes a brain like that tick? So they're discussing, is it environmental? Is it genetic? Are you born that way, or are you influenced? And it's just this little organ that is made up of gelatinous material influences that kind of it blows my mind. It absolutely blows my mind. Okay, psycho and sociopath are outdated terms. Okay, then what is the modern updated term? Please.
Fucking nuts.
I say knucking butts.
I don't pull punches.
I just like it because it sounds funny.
You picked that up from Dickie Roberts, though.
That's like saying bass backwards.
Yep.
You
picked up knucking futz from Dickie Roberts' Child Star.
No, actually, I didn't. I actually picked that up from a book series that I read a couple years ago. There was a character in the book that was called Fucking Nuts Nix. Her name was Nix, and so they just turned it around because she didn't like it, and she was a psycho. She was like a psychopath harpy, and so they started calling her Knucking Futz so she wouldn't flip out and try to rip the throats out whenever they told her she was fucking nuts.
Was this a vampire drama?
No.
Are you on the Twilight bus?
No, I'm not. No, I just like to read.
To this date, that is the only book I've ever burned.
What?
To this date, the only book I've ever burned.
What, you burned Twilight?
I set it on fire and threw it in a dumpster. Yes.
Why did you have a copy of Twilight?
Someone gave it to me. No.
Yeah, likely story. Likely story.
Nope.
You read it.
My friend Kayla gave me Twilight in 2010 to read. I read about 2 chapters of Twilight, and I was so aghast at the spelling, grammar, punctuation, cadence, and lack of character development of any kind. I was so completely not invested in this book that I determined it was absolute trash, and I burned it.
Listen to you getting passionate about anti-Twilight. Oh my God. The movies were pretty good though. I mean, like visually.
No.
Visually,
no.
not story-wise, not acting.
That the acting is part of the visuals. What the fuck are you on right now?
I just heard your brain start to snap and click.
I think you short-circuited me a little bit there.
The cinematography, there we go. Not the acting. The dialogue. No,
what
Carrie.
Dialogue?
Okay, no, Carrie, you were wrong on that. What am I wrong on?
All the things.
Kitty porn and Twilight. We're learning a lot about Josh. Oh.
My shoe size is 13 wide. I'm just under 6'1". What else do you want to know?
Do you like to take long walks on the beach, my dear?
Actually, I do not.
You don't live near the beach, though, do you?
No, I don't like the feeling of sand or mud between my toes. I don't like having dirty fingers or toes. It drives me crazy. It actually sets something off in my brain that actually makes me go insane.
Yeah, I don't like having sandy feet either. Oh, okay. Lilokin asked, what's your favorite color?
My favorite color is currently green.
Green? Yay, me too. I like green and blue, but right now it's green.
I went through a really short period where I loved red.
Mm-hmm.
But it's been green for most of my life.
Okay. Anybody else have any other questions? You have some new fans in the chat, Josh. People that didn't know you. People that didn't know you before.
I'm just trying to not be boring.
No, you're not boring.
I live a very low-key life. I live in the middle of rednecks, in the middle of cornfields, and I commute to and from work shitposting on Twitter. That is my life.
We all hate Twitter and we all love Twitter all at the same time. Oh God, yeah. Wendell just said dick size.
That requires qualification. Hard or flaccid.
Oh no! Don't entertain that little shit.
Wendell, you're my boy.
Little hairy Gebbet wolves? What in the hell does that mean?
Little hairy Gebbet wolf? What?
I guess they're talking about Oozaloo.
Get the fuck out of here with that shit.
Answer my shoe question, Josh. Okay, Destiny, he can't see the chat, so let me scroll up and I'll look. Do you have a hard time finding shoes? That's the size Trevor wears.
Yes. I have a very hard time finding shoes. The last time I went to get shoes was 2 months ago. I needed a new pair of running shoes. They had 3 total pairs of shoes. I went to a couple of different stores. I went to Kohl's and I went to, I want to say, Discount Shoe Warehouse. There were 3 total between these 2 stores in my size. 3. I had 3 pairs of shoes to choose from. I ended up going with the Nikes.
That's shit.
Yeah.
Okay, so somebody just asked me to give props to a certain hashtag, and I haven't even seen that hashtag. Have you seen Twexit? Have you seen that one, Josh?
It sounds familiar. I know a lot of people are leaving for either, what is it, Medium or Sea Lion?
No, it says give props to minds.com, hashtag Twexit.
Minds.com. Yeah, that's another one I think I've heard of, is Minds.
Oh, okay.
There's some guy going around Twitter who's trying to convince people to jump off of Twitter and get onto Minds because all of the shit happening with Twitter right now.
Yeah. Huh. Well, I haven't really looked into any other platforms actually. I mean, of course, I've seen the Sea Lion. Is it sealion.org?
Sealion.club. There's a few of us who've jumped over there. John,
what do you think
10.
Yeah, what do you think about that?
Well, their policy is really simple. No child porn, and don't put anything that will get my server shut down.
Okay. How's the experience been over there so far?
I haven't done a whole lot on it, but it functions very similar to Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
I have a couple of minor gripes with the user interface. They organize, when you're reading through a timeline, like a conversation timeline, they organize it slightly differently. So the most recent one is at the top, and then the rest of the thread appears under it.
Yeah.
Instead of as one long timeline. But then there's a view in conversation thing that'll show you the whole timeline. It's a little jarring switching over to it from Twitter, but it's pretty much just Twitter on a different server.
Okay.
With a much bigger, more generous character limit.
Okay, Josh. Well, they're saying they're talking about it in the chat. It's Ryan that's talking about it. He said it's the one with the good license, terms of service. It's got good video support, and it's Flash free. What does Flash free mean?
Flash Media Player. It's an Adobe product. Mm-hmm. A lot of websites use Flash, and if you have, for example, an iPhone or anything running iOS, you can't run Flash. So there are limitations on some social media sites because your phone literally cannot run the application that's driving the website.
Okay. Someone's asking again, what was the name of that website again? The ones that you said.
There was sealion.club and minds.org.
All right.
minds.org.
Minds.org. Okay. Sea Lion Club. Okay. Yeah, they're just talking about that in the chat. No, I haven't seen anything on those Twix that Twitter exits.
That's because Twitter is killing it.
Yeah.
they completely kill anything that shows up with that Twixit hashtag.
Okay. Yeah, that's some pretty shady shit. I think I'm shadow banned, actually.
I'm pretty sure Liquid Demons is still shadow banned.
Yeah, I barely see any of his stuff, unless he tags me in it or I actively search and go to his Twitter. And Drew's doing the same thing as well. Like, he's not popping up in my feed.
Yeah, I was wondering why I hadn't seen anything from Drew in a while, and that would actually explain it.
Yeah, Autopsy 87 is who we're talking about, people, if you don't know who Drew is. And if you don't know who Drew is, loser, get out. I don't want you here.
Twitter is doing a really good job of alienating its user base and tanking its stock prices.
Yeah, I agree. It's like, what are you people
Jack,
doing?
Moron, fucking moron.
Oh my God.
I love Undoomed.
I like his content too. He's really funny to listen to. The sarcasm is deep.
I love anybody who can pull off sarcasm. If you can pull off sarcasm, you will be my best friend. Which is I do, Carrie.
Oh, I feel special.
You were born with a sarcastic spoon in your mouth.
And there's no doubt about that one. It's fun, and you know what really makes me sad is whenever you have to explain to people, because I automatically assume anyone that I'm speaking to in social media format is being a smartass. I automatically assume that. Now, if they surprise me by not being sarcastic, then they have really surprised me. Like, they have my attention. It's like, oh my God, a normal person, what are you doing here?
You better come to the safe part of the internet before the trolls eat you alive.
Oh man. Run now. They smell fresh blood. They will attack you. Kenny just said stupid people don't understand sarcasm. Autistic people don't understand sarcasm either.
You know what? I will agree with that.
I do think it takes a little bit of an intelligent brain to be able to communicate and to understand sarcasm. So I will agree with you there.
I think I blew a fuse a few years ago, and I've just been nothing but sarcastic since.
Your give a damn's busted, huh?
My give a damn is busted and stuck in the red.
Well, that's why we make use of these platforms.
The needle's on empty, and there is no fill-up station.
Okay, Joshy. Well, how was your first hangout with me on my new channel? Yay! Thank you for being my first official guest. I mean, I
broke it in. It was all shiny and new.
I know. Well, I had that hangout a couple nights ago, but that wasn't anything planned. That just kind of happened. That was sort of a reaction to the things that were going on at that moment in time. But this is the first official hangout, and I think it went pretty well.
It was fun.
Yeah.
We talked about everything. My brain wanders.
We talked about all the things. All the things.
Everything from child porn to shooting in Chicago.
And burning Twilight books that we claim to not like.
I told you, my friend Kayla gave me that book, and I didn't like it. I read 2 chapters of it. I could show you.
Sorry.
I could show you where the spine was.
Officer, those are not my drugs under the seat of my car.
I could show you where the spine was cracked, where I stopped reading, but I burned the book.
Likely story. Shitlord. Come on now. All right, chat. Thanks to everybody for coming, participating, adding your questions and vile and rude comments as usual. So it's been fun. Thank you, Josh. Thanks for coming on.
You're quite welcome.
I'm sure I'll see you on Twitter in just a little while.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, so I'm going to turn the live broadcast off now. So bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.